The life of Hope Logan was forever changed in a moment of tragedy. A horrific accident left her battered and broken, but the true devastation came in the form of her memory loss. Hope, once a bright and loving woman, woke up to a world she no longer recognized. The faces that had been so familiar to her, the people she loved, were now strangers. Her husband, Liam Spencer, a man who had once been her world, was now just a figure in her past that she couldn't place. The bond that had once existed between them, so strong and unshakable, was now nothing more than a distant echo. Hope could no longer remember Liam or anyone in the Spencer family, and she was forced to start her life over from scratch. The accident had robbed her of more than just her memories. It had robbed her of the very essence of who she was. As Hope tried to piece together the fragments of her past, a new and unexpected presence began to emerge in her life. A man from her past, someone she had once been very close to, stepped forward to help her through her confusion and pain. This man, with whom Hope had shared a history, quickly became a pillar of support in her world, offering her comfort and stability when everything else seemed uncertain. To Hope, he wasn't just a stranger, it was a familiar face, a connection to a past she could no longer fully recall. But the deeper the connection between them grew, the more Liam struggled to find a way back into Hope's heart. He watched helplessly as this other man, someone with a past intertwined with Hope's, became more involved in her life, filling the void that Liam had once occupied. It was a painful experience for Liam to see his wife, the woman he had vowed to love and protect, slowly slipping further away from him. But Liam, ever the devoted husband, was determined not to give up. He refused to accept that Hope was gone forever, and he believed that deep down, the woman he loved was still in there, waiting to be found. Despite the confusion, despite the emotional pain, Liam was resolute in his mission to help Hope remember. He was willing to do anything, go to any lengths, to restore their love and bring her back to him. He searched for answers, he consulted doctors, he even reached out to friends and family members, all in an effort to find a way to help Hope regain her memories. But no matter how hard he tried, Hope's memories of high end of their life together remained elusive. Each day brought a new challenge, a new test of Liam's patience and endurance. As time passed, Hope's relationship with the man from her past grew stronger. He was there for her in ways that Liam could no longer be. This man understood the pain and confusion Hope was experiencing, and he was able to offer her the comfort and stability she so desperately needed. Their bond was undeniable, and Hope began to rely on him more and more. For the first time since the accident, she felt a sense of security and peace. She found herself drawn to him, not just because of their shared history, but because he made her feel seen, understood, and cared for. Meanwhile, Liam was consumed with feelings of jealousy and frustration. He watched as Hope's connection with this man deepened, and he feared that with each passing day, Hope was slipping further away from him. The hope that once burned so brightly in his heart began to dim, replaced by doubt and insecurity. He couldn't help but wonder if the life they had shared, the love they had built, was truly gone, never to return. Liam's desperation grew as he struggled to find a way to reach Hope. He knew that he had to be patient, that he couldn't force her memories to return, but the longer she remained distant from him, the harder it became to keep his faith intact. Hope, meanwhile, was grappling with her own emotions. She knew that Liam was her husband, but the love she once felt for him was a distant memory. She couldn't ignore the way she felt for the man from her past, the connection that seemed to awaken something deep within her. She couldn't understand why she felt so drawn to him, but it was undeniable. The bond between them was real, and it was growing stronger by the day. Hope found herself questioning everything her past, her future, and what it meant to truly love someone. She couldn't deny the pull she felt toward this other man, but she was also torn by the loyalty she felt toward Liam, the husband she was supposed to love. Her heart was torn in two, and she didn't know where to turn. The emotional toll of this conflict weighed heavily on Hope. The more time she spent with the man from her past, the more she began to question whether she could truly go back to the life she once had with Liam. Could she truly rebuild her life with him, or had too much time passed? Too many changes occurred? Was it possible for her to love Liam the way she once had, or was she destined to move forward with this new man, the one who made her feel whole again? As the tension between the two men grew, Hope found herself at a crossroads. She could feel the pressure mounting as both Liam and the man from her past fought for her love and attention. But the more they fought for her, the more Hope began to realize that the real battle was within herself. She had to figure out who she was now, who she wanted to be, and who she wanted to love. The decision before her was one of the most difficult choices she had ever faced. Should she try to rebuild her life with Liam, the man she had once promised to love forever? Or should she move on with the man who had become her anchor, the one who made her feel safe and cared for in a world that had been turned upside down? Hope knew that there was no easy answer. Each path led to its own set of challenges and uncertainties. No matter which choice she made, it would change her life in ways she could not fully anticipate. The future seemed uncertain, and Hope found herself trapped between the love of her past and the potential of her future. Time was running out for Liam, and he knew that if he didn't act soon, he might lose Hope forever. He pushed harder, trying to reach her, trying to remind her of the love they once shared, but it was as if she was slipping further away from him with each passing day. Hope, however, remained conflicted. She wanted to remember her life with Liam, wanted to reconnect with the love they had, but she couldn't ignore the feelings she had for the man from her past. The emotional struggle was taking its toll on her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was on the verge of losing everything. As the days passed, it became clear that Hope was faced with an impossible decision. Should she try to restore the love she had once shared with Liam? Or should she embrace the possibility of a new beginning with someone else, someone who had already begun to fill the void in her heart? The final choice was hers, and no one could predict what direction she would choose. Would Hope choose the familiar, the love of her past, or would she take a leap of faith into a new future with the man who had become her unexpected solace? The drama surrounding Hope's journey of self-discovery, healing, and love was only just beginning. The consequences of her decision would ripple through the lives of those around her, and the impact on the Spencer family would be felt for years to come. In the end, the answer to Hope's emotional conflict would not only determine her future, but also shape the lives of everyone she loved. Would she remember the love that once was, or would she find a new path forward, leaving her past behind forever? When Hope Logan woke up from the devastating accident, she was immediately thrust into a world that felt foreign and disorienting. Her body was bruised, her mind clouded, and her memories shattered. She couldn't remember what had happened, who she was, or the people who were supposed to be closest to her. Liam, her husband, stood by her side, his face full of worrying, but she couldn't place him. She couldn't remember the love they had shared, the life they had built together. The world she knew before the accident had slipped away, leaving her stranded in a place where nothing made sense. But as the days passed, Hope's confusion deepened. It wasn't just that she couldn't remember the past, it was that something felt off. As flashes of memory began to surface, they didn't align with the life she thought she had lived. There were moments, brief and fleeting, of people she didn't recognize, of conversations she couldn't quite place. And then there was the nagging feeling that something more sinister had been at play. It wasn't just the accident that had taken her memories, it was the way it had happened. The more Hope thought about it, the more she began to suspect that her accident hadn't been an accident at all. Something didn't add up. The strange, fragmented recollections that flickered in her mind seemed to point towards something dark, something calculated. There was a sense of foreboding that weighed on her chest. And at the center of her suspicion, there was a secretive secret that seemed to be tied to the Forrester family. Hope could barely remember the details, but she couldn't shake the feeling that her accident had been orchestrated, that someone had planned it. The more she searched her mind for answers, the more elusive the truth became. She couldn't fully grasp the memories, but she could sense that the Forrester family was somehow involved. The Forrester name had always been synonymous with power, wealth, and influence. But now Hope began to wonder if their legacy had a darker city on that was willing to do whatever it took to protect its secrets. Hope's suspicions grew as she pieced together the strange fragments of her memory. She remembered being at the Forrester mansion, but she couldn't recall why she had been there. There were faces she should have known but couldn't recognize. And then there was the terrifying feeling that someone had been watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. Hope could feel it deep in her gut this wasn't just a simple accident. She began to question everything she thought she knew about the Forrester family, about the people in her life, and about her own past. The more she tried to dig into the mystery, the more complicated it became. She began to see connections where there were none before. Every little detail seemed to fit into a larger puzzle that she couldn't quite complete. Hope grew increasingly paranoid, unsure of who she could trust. Was Liam truly on her side, or was he somehow involved in what had happened to her? Was he hiding something, keeping secrets from her? She couldn't shake the feeling that the accident was just the tip of the iceberg, that there was a deeper conspiracy at play. As Hope's memories started to come back in bits and pieces, the picture became clearer, but no less disturbing. There were moments where she felt like she was being led down a dangerous path, as though someone wanted her to uncover the truth but only to a certain point. She could feel the walls closing in around her, and every step she took toward the truth seemed to bring her closer to danger. Hope became more desperate, more determined to uncover what had really happened that fateful day. She couldn't live with the uncertainty, with the haunting feeling that something's out to get her. And as she continued to investigate, she began to uncover a trail of lies and deceit that led directly to the Forrester family. Hope's suspicions were finally confirmed when she uncovered a piece of information that made everything click into place. It wasn't just a random accident. Hope had been targeted. Someone had wanted her out of the way, someone who had been watching her, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The Forrester family, with all its wealth and influence, had been involved in a plan to destroy her. But the question remained why would the Forresters want to harm her? What had she done to deserve this? The truth, when it finally came to light, was more shocking than Hope could have ever imagined. There had been a conspiracy within the Forrester family to sabotage her, to erase her from the picture entirely. The accident had been carefully planned, designed to not only harm Hope physically, but to erase her memories and render her vulnerable. Hope's mind reeled with the implications. The Forrester family, the people she had trusted, had been behind it all. They had worked together to destroy her, to erase her from the equation. It was a plot that went deeper than she could have ever imagined, and it made her question everything she thought she knew about the people in her life. As Hope confronted Liam with the truth, her heart shattered. She didn't want to believe it, but the pieces fit together too perfectly. Liam, the man who had once been her rock, the one who had promised to love and protect her, had been involved. It was a gut-wrenching revelation that left her feeling more betrayed than she could ever put into words. She had been married to a man who had been complicit in a plot to ruin her life. Liam, for his part, was devastated by the accusations, unable to fully grasp how everything had spiraled out of control. He had never wanted to hurt Hope, never wanted to be part of such a treacherous plan. But the evidence was irrefutable. The Forrester family had orchestrated it, and now Hope was paying the price. As Hope's world crumbled around her, she found herself at a crossroads. She couldn't stay with Liam, couldn't continue to live a lie. The pain of betrayal was too much to bear. She had to walk away. The weight of the truth was too much for her to carry alone, and as the pieces of her memory slowly fell into place, she found herself in a world that had been turned upside down. The Forrester family had betrayed her, and now she had to figure out how to rebuild her life from the rubble. But Hope was no longer the woman who had entered the accident. She was stronger, more determined. She had uncovered the truth, and she was prepared to face whatever came next. As Hope walked away from the ashes of her past, she stepped into a future that was uncertain, but one that she would build on her own terms. The truth had set her free, but it had also broken her in ways she could never fully heal. The journey ahead would not be easy, But Hope was determined to rise above the shadows of the Forrester family's betrayal and reclaim her life. The secrets, the lies, and the conspiracy that had once been used to destroy her had only made her stronger, and she would never again allow anyone to control her fate. Hope's story was far from over.